Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, worldwide TV network, WomenOnTV.tv, and IT247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. So this is another special show, and the reason for this is I haven't seen my friend David Perez from Omega International, who's the CEO, in years now. And back again is my other co-host, Vocally Tosh, who puts up all of our stuff, and she's been doing well with everything. So Tosh, let's start with you. Women first. Tell David who you are and where you came from.
All right, David. Well, I am from Miami. Well, technically, I'm from Venezuela, but I've lived in Miami for forever, so I'm a Miamian. I am a Latin pop singer. I just launched my career right when COVID happened. So been, still trying to figure out all of this music industry business. And I'm, Brian Sebastian's Miami co-host. I do all of the techie stuff in the back, upload his videos, make sure all of his shows are on point. So that is me.
Nice. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. You have such an interesting LinkedIn resume. Technically, I was reading it this morning and I was like, this dude is wow, fantastic. You've done so much stuff. I have so many questions for you. And I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start off back, let's go throw it back. I did see that you had a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, but now you have your own security firm. So I kind of want to know, how did that get to now? Did you ever do anything in the criminal justice part?
Yeah, I mean, basically, kind of backing up out of high school, right out of high school, I went to the Marine Corps. I was 17 years old in Marine Corps boot camp. Wasn't ready for college, and I come from a military family, and I wanted to carry on that tradition. So I found myself in Marine Corps boot camp, had a great time. And then from there, I ended up going to Quantico, Virginia. Then from there, from the Pentagon to the White House, and I went overseas to Southeast Asia. And I started going back to school when I was in the Marines, when I was overseas, because we had quite a bit of downtime. And I was always into kind of investigations. I was always into kind of criminal law. The criminal law always fascinated me. The law really fascinated me. And when I left the Marine Corps, I worked for several private security firms. It was kind of an easy transition to do that. And then I ended up going back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And then from there, I actually went on to get my master's degree from USC. And it's definitely helped me what I'm doing now to know the law, especially when it comes to dealing with clients that do have people that are the criminal element that we're dealing with. It does definitely help me knowing the law and knowing what the crimes are being committed by certain people that are trying to harm our clients.
Wow. That is, I'm telling you, I've literally read your whole LinkedIn and I was like, this is so interesting. I haven't talked to somebody that's been, security detail for President Clinton and for all these NBA players and soccer players. It must be such a adrenaline rushing job when you're, protecting these people.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, at times it's, I've been doing it now for almost 25 years. So I wouldn't say you get used to it. In a sense, you do know the level of stress. You can anticipate the level of stress that's going to happen. But at times it's very exciting. I'm still a human being. You still get that adrenaline rush. The adrenaline rush really helps you stay alert. It helps you train your staff as well to let them know what's going to happen, how you're going to anticipate the stress and the kind of the anxiety of the job itself. But it's definitely exciting. I probably work with every athlete and probably entertainer that I've ever wanted to meet or growing up watching. I've seen new athletes come in and become very successful, but it's been very exciting. And I have 2 kids. So, my son, he's a big sports fan. He's got to meet all his heroes through my contacts. So he kind of thinks it's a normal thing, but I tell him it's not a normal thing to be able to meet, his favorite baseball player when he was a couple years ago was Yasiel Puig. When Puig was at the Dodgers. So he was able to meet Puig and, meet Shaq. I worked with Shaq many years ago. And so it's been a very exciting life. I've been very blessed, but I can tell you it's been hard work. I think through hard work, dedication, and having goals and a mindset, that's gotten me through where I am today.
David, talk about where I've always saw it through the point of view, and it's something that I always need to talk about, especially now. Talk about what it's like to protect those women, whether the women CEOs. I remember, I never forgot when, you know, a woman could be so busy when she comes back to her house and she lives by herself. That's when they kind of let the guard down, when you really can't even let your guard down now. It was prevalent then. It's even more prevalent now, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's we obviously live in some very challenging times. With the power of the internet, people can reach out to you and find out where you live. There's no more privacy, I guess you can say. That's all out the window. In a matter of minutes, I can find out exactly who you are, where you live, who you're related to. That's all on the internet. If you have a credit card, your information's on the internet. And you know, I do get quite a bit of calls, probably once or twice a month. We have, you know, whether it be an actress or a model, that they have a stalker issue, and it's tough because, you know, you want to be out there on social media, you want to promote your brand, and yet there's people out there, the criminal element, that are actually looking at you from a different light to do harm. Obviously, with the police have very challenging jobs right now. They can't do anything right. So they've really backed off when it comes to a lot of different areas within the criminal justice system, which is, you know, it's tough right now. We have a lot of police officers that we work with. I'm in contact with a lot of different chief of police around the local city, and they all say the same thing. You know, their job is tough, and you know, dialing 911 nowadays, good luck unless you're being actually attacked. They're not going to come. They're too overwhelmed with a lot of different things. There's a lot of civil unrest. Local law enforcement is preparing now for the election. There's going to be some issues with regardless of who wins. There's going to be some issues on both sides, and it's challenging right now, especially for women, and especially having your brand out there on social media. It's really tough. You know, I always tell the ladies that, hey, don't post where you're at in real time, because someone can find you right away. Wait a few hours or that night or the next day to post where you were, what you were doing. And just be cautious, be safe, be careful of your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter accounts, because like we had an athlete that we just finished doing a detail for. Because of the home quarantine, he created a home gym in his house. So he was posting videos of himself working out inside, outside, but in between that, there was a lot of information in his house that you could see, and there was a lot of information around his backyard and his neighborhood that you can see. So if somebody really wanted to go in there and know the layout of his home, he had a lot of stuff that was posted inadvertently online. And the same for the females that are working out at home, posting their videos. Be careful of what's in your background of your house and how you post it.
And Tosh, that's why I have this background, because I never forgot what David said on things like that. And David, you know, you met a couple of the co-hosts. We have 13 now. And I'm more aware of these things even more because not only are they in different countries, they are public figures, they're in different states. And we have not had any problems because I've taken your guidance, but still, you know, you can only do so much. But we've been fortunate so far. And that's why I wanted to reach out, because it is an important time and I want them. And there's, you know, I got to have you back, not only in studio in Los Angeles, but I got to have you back because we have some real high profile women and they need to meet you and they need to hear it from you, what's going on, because hearing everything coming from me could be a little bit too much, but this is your genre at the same time also.
Yes. And, you know, when you're out in public, of course, you know, always be aware of your surroundings. We always tell people, hey, if you're walking with somebody, so let's say you go to a store at night, you're by yourself, you're a female, you went to the grocery store just to grab a couple items for the night. Ask a bagger or even the manager, hey, can you have an escort to my car? Because you're 50% less likely to be attacked if you're walking with somebody else. So, you know, have somebody walk you to your car, whether it be a girl bagger or a young bagger, doesn't matter. Have somebody walk you to your car because you never know. And if there's a bad guy out there prowling in the parking lots or prowling around, they see you with somebody else, they're most likely going to go to an easier target. Stay off your phone while you're walking to your car. Have your keys ready. Look confident. Don't look like an easy target, because the bad guys, they're always looking for that easy victim. And, looking at a lot of cases that have happened, violence towards women, after the fact, they always said, I felt something wrong with this person. I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone. I was texting. They were doing something else other than just staying alert. And it's unfortunate that we have to be like that, but that's just the way the world we live in right now. And even for myself, I take my own advice whenever I'm out. I'm not hyper alert all the time, because that can be very tiring, but I have always one antenna up, one antenna up at all times. I do have small children, so when I'm out, I make sure I look around wherever I'm at. I'm still always confident, but comfortable. And at least I'm always looking around to see who's around me and identify people who can be a threat and who cannot be a threat. Once you practice that, I do it instinctively. Wild animals do the same thing. If you're ever outside, look at a deer that's going by or some type of wild animal, they're looking around to see who's a threat to them and who's not. And if they feel someone's a threat, they usually go away into the bushes. And if you confront them and they feel you're a threat, what do? They're going to attack you. So we have the same instincts, except we're just have a much higher IQ, and we tend to not think about those things. We think we're smarter at times. We're better than that. But at the same time, is use your God-given instincts, that you do have instincts and intuition to when something is not right, you don't feel it's right, it's probably not right.
David, I saw this coming 2 years ago. I just didn't know what the name of the virus was going to be. So I had been who I could in the soft way, whether I was in Tennessee doing stuff. I haven't had a chance to see you in person in a while. I'll never forget, before we have 6.2 million views a day and counting. Tasha puts up a lot of our videos. After this show, we have one more show. It will be 200 shows that we've done in the last 30 weeks. You can imagine that. So with 6.2 million views a day and counting, 3.8 out of Tennessee alone, you can imagine why I'm concerned about a couple of things starting to happen. I see what's going on around the world. I can see what's going on in different states and cross country, and it does concern me. So even when I was in Tennessee, I had a cop stop me. Now I was walking to our shows, and he asked me, "Can I give you a ride to the location?" I'm like, "No, it's just down the street." David, he asked me 3 times. Till this day, I don't know what would have happened if I had gotten in his car. Have you ever had a cop ask you to give you a ride someplace? If you were in my position, if you were walking, I had my headphones on in my backpack, and I had already walked 40 minutes. And I never forgot that. And I tell that story all the time. Let me ask you, what do you think would have happened if I had gotten in the car? Because I honestly don't know.
Well, he might have been just offering you a gesture, a nice gesture, that if you needed a ride. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't do a lot of walking. I live in Los Angeles. Everybody drives, so it's not like I wish I had more time to walk. But everybody, LA's so spread out that you have to have a car and drive around. But I don't think it's a bad thing if a police officer actually asks you if you need some help or you need assistance. That's actually a good thing.
I mean, did he look like a real police officer? Because there's been so many situations where somebody, I'm a police officer, but they really aren't.
Now, were they in uniform? Was he in a marked black and white patrol car? Or what?
No, he was a real cop out of Tennessee, but it was one of those things where I was only 7 minutes down the street. I knew he wanted to know where I was going. I knew he knew I didn't belong in that neighborhood, but I told him to ask me for my ID and all this stuff. And like I said, I was just simply walking, and it was just an uncomfortable thing. And the next day, I'm like, I know this cop is going to be there again. And so I took a Lyft the next day, and lo and behold, the same cop was in the long driveway to the neighbors of where we were. And it was Don King's bodyguard, good friend, Jimmy Adams. And then I'm walking down the long highway. I jumped the fence. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I go, I beat you this day, but I still never got that feeling. And so one of my other good friends, and I call her our other co-host when she's around, Crystal, jumped on. Crystal, good to see you.
Hi, guys.
Meet vocally Tosh out of Miami, and our good friend David Perez out of Los Angeles, who I haven't seen in a long time.
Nice to meet you guys. Sorry for the delay.
Hey, we're in a retrograde. All kinds of wiki stuff is just happening.
Oh yeah,
it is. David, talk about this. When the lockdown came down, how were you prepared with everything going on, and what was that feeling like? Because for me, it was February 25th. Even though I saw it coming in the beginning of the year, I walked out of the Grammy Museum downtown LA. The Lakers, that was just about ready to come out. That was their last game before they called the season. 10 after 9, I'm going back to Union Station, heading back to Vegas. They call the NHL season, then they call the hockey season, Major League Baseball. And I go, that's it. Troubles are stopped to begin. And I was always wondering, I wonder what David's doing.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously the door got shut very quickly on the quarantine. Once the major league teams shut it down, we knew it was going to be a very big trickle effect. We got a lot of phone calls on, what our kind of advice was. We think it's long-term or short-term. We were telling people it doesn't look like it's going to be short-term at all. We're trying to prepare people to say, hey, this is going to really be stretched out probably for months, if not a year. And a lot of our clients thought it'd be a couple weeks. There's no way they're going to quarantine everybody. There's no way they're going to lock down people. I said, this is not something that's going to be a simple fix, a simple solution, and get ready for the long term. Obviously, it affected our business because we're heavily in the sports and entertainment industry. But, we were there for our clients who had concerns. And it was, we knew it was going to be in for the long term. It wasn't going to be a short term thing.
Exactly. Talk about being protecting a lot of those women, because again, like I said, I'm seeing a lot more women be attacked around the world. I know that's not good. It's very challenging. What are you seeing regarding that, especially in the world of entertainment? Because celebrities have finances; they could take off and go do stuff, but not everybody can.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to again what I talked about: be aware of your surroundings. Be careful what you post. It doesn't hurt to take a self-defense class. It doesn't, even if you can't physically go there or there's no self-defense classes in person, you can go to YouTube. YouTube is actually a very educational tool. And at least you have the mindset of, hey, what do I need to look for or my surroundings? Or, hey, if there's somebody that doesn't look right where I'm at, or if I'm going to the store, what to look for, what to do, what not to do. I think those are key. And again, limit your travel late at night. At times it may be tough because of the industry that we're in, but I think if you use a lot more awareness, and at the times that you're in public to and from, stay off your phone, stay off the internet, and just be aware of your surroundings and look very confident when you're out in public. And those do help.
And David, can you give a rundown
of
just a little bit of your background for Crystal?
Sure. Was in the United States Marine Corps, worked in the White House, the Pentagon, worked under President Clinton in security detail, been in the business 25 years in the sports and entertainment industry. And, we've been doing protection for, over 20 years, and it's been exciting.
Nice. Amazing. Yeah.
Crystal, his company protected us for Hollywood Film Festival 2015 when we had the Chinese delegation come in, and we had Bai Ling come in. And you couldn't put those two together because you had Young with Bai Ling.
Right.
Traditional, they didn't like what Bai Ling was doing. It was very interesting.
Right. Wow. Yeah, you guys are much needed, and seems like no matter what happens in a couple of weeks, you're going to be needed even more.
Yeah.
Woo. Crazy.
Yeah, and I'm on a conference call with the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce on Thursday with the same topics of helping the city and businesses plan for the election. It's not just November 3rd. It's you're talking about 30 to 60 days to 90 days after, because it may not be an immediate. We may not know who wins, and again, it doesn't matter which side wins.
Right.
Whatever side wins, there's going to be issues, and it may be stretched on for months. And, there's nothing wrong with having people that protest, but in the mix of the protesters are the agitators and criminal element. The criminal element are blending in with the protesting, and they're the ones doing the burglaries, the looting, the home invasions. A report just came out this morning. Murders in Los Angeles are up 20%, 2020. I mean, that's a staggering number. And the solve rate is about 50%. So if you commit murder, there's a 50% chance you get away with it.
Wow.
David, how have you changed your business mode? Because it was a great business mode before, but how have you changed it since February with all this stuff that was going on?
We just had to adjust somewhat. Obviously, we've lost some business, and some business is actually on hold because of the no fans, and the sports and entertainment industry is really kind of shrunk per se. I was in the bubble in a couple months ago, so it was a great experience being able to go there. But we're still doing a lot of. We have a lot of requests right now for armed security. Armed security is really big. So while we lost some business in some area, we've gained a lot in other areas. When the civil unrest happened a few months ago, there was a lot of home invasions on the west side of LA. So a lot of residents who never felt really any type of crime because of that area now actually felt crime. So our business went up in that area. So, it's just the phone's been ringing.
I have a question about, I was a concealed carry owner for years out in North Carolina and South Carolina, Virginia. And I am a gun owner, but it's apparently almost impossible to get your concealed carry here in California, I guess, unless you are in security or something like that. Is it just because of it being such a liberal state, or do you know the reason behind that, and like any way to get around it?
Yeah, it depends on actually the county you live in. LA County, forget it. Being a liberal state, democratic state, yes, that's a big issue about, that's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. Orange County, San Bernardino County, Riverside County, Kern County, which is up north, Kern County, you can walk in there and get your concealed carry almost the same day. There's a lot of sheriff's department that they don't have their hands tied, and they're very concerned about giving the citizens their right to protect themselves.
What are there any things that I don't know if you'd be able to say them out here in the open anyway, but just being like a single woman,
I would say first carry pepper spray for sure. Mm-hmm. Because carrying a firearm is a big, humongous responsibility.
Yeah, I had my license. I pretty much only carried it in my car and at home. I didn't take it, like I wasn't walking around with it, but it was mostly like being in my vehicle, and then just had it at home. Obviously it's licensed here, but I can't. And I usually feel safer at home than I do when I'm in my car riding around. So it's like locked up here,
Yeah. And I always tell people this. I can give you kind of, offline advice, and I tell clients the same thing. I said, if you're legally allowed to own a firearm and you want to carry a firearm for protection, whether you have a permit or not, carry it. Because to put it this way, let's just say you live in LA County, you can't get a concealed weapons permit.
Right.
You're a single female, you're in the entertainment industry, you're up and coming, or you're high profile, and you're carrying one in your purse and somebody attacks you or tries to rape you or tries to murder you, and you protect yourself and defend yourself. Do you think a jury's going to convict you that you're legally allowed to own a firearm and you defended yourself? And because LA County is so strict and don't want to give you a permit, who's going to convict you? If you legally use it the right way,
right?
I seriously, there is an old saying that we use: better to be judged by 12 or carried by 6. So you live to see another day, or do you die because I couldn't get a dumb permit because of the state of California? Mm. But having said that, it is a big responsibility to carry one. Just remember that somebody can take it away from you. Mm-hmm. So if you're not really trained, really, you have to go through a lot of classes, live fire classes. You're actually moving, you're under stress, shooting. I recommend doing that as well, because, pulling it out, you may shoot, miss, hit an innocent bystander, you kill an innocent person. That's going to be a big burden on your life. You're probably legally held responsible for that. So there's a lot of repercussions on carrying. I'm a big advocate of firearms. I have plenty myself, but I know the responsibility and the legal requirements for it. And, if you're a female, I would say at the minimum, buy some pepper spray. Pepper spray, it's not deadly. If you pepper spray somebody, they're going to be temporarily, disabled. You can get away. If you pepper spray somebody else by accident, they're not going to die. They'll be fine. So I tell people that don't like firearms, carry a baseball bat. That works too.
The issue with pepper spray is I always have it on my keychain, and I travel a lot. I show up at the airport, and sure enough, you don't know how many pepper sprays they've taken from me. I'm like, oh, I forgot to take it off. So it's like,
Yeah.
But yeah.
And of course, again, be confident, and if somebody does threaten you, get out of there right away. And if push comes to shove where they attack you, fight back hard, never give up, because the bad guys pick on people they think they're not going to fight. They think they're not going to fight an easy target.
Yeah.
And I've heard many stories with female clients where they were attempted kidnappings, attacks, and they fought back and they got away, or their attacker gave up and ran off because they didn't expect a confrontation. So I have 2 young kids, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I teach them. There you go. I teach them the same thing. If you're attacked on the street, you got to go back and attack back with a vengeance. Doesn't matter your size. Size means nothing. Google YouTube, or go on YouTube and look at every small animal that's been attacked by, you shoot dogs, big bears in the backyard, a dog chases them off, lions attacking a small animal, the small animal defended itself. So
I have a little Maltese. I've seen the biggest dogs run away from her because she's like,
exactly. That aggressive attitude, works.
I'm
Well,
like,
it's just like
you're a snack for them.
It's just like the cougar. I'm pretty sure everybody saw the cougar about the guy in Utah.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
was being like very big and angry, and eventually, it got scared away. So that's kind of, that's what just popped in my head right now. I'm like, just like that guy in the cougar.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any, and maybe this isn't the forum, but any places that you like to tell people to go if they do want to get more gun training, or do you do that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we used to have private classes, but of course, with a lot of the quarantine, there's a lot of places that are now shut down. If you went online, just depends where you live. Went online, there's a lot of great. Well, I don't know if they're still open at the moment, but there's a lot of good classes that are still offered. That you can find. Front Side in Nevada is a really good course. If you go to your local gun range, at least you have to know, if you own a gun, you got to know that gun as much as you know your cell phone. Most people do not. Most people do not. You know that gun as much as you know your cell phone. Be comfortable with it. Know what it does, what it doesn't do, and know your capabilities as well. And then be confident. And so that's what I recommend.
You're right. I used to go and shoot at the gun range all the time, and I haven't done that in so long. And I wouldn't even open my case right now because I don't feel comfortable. I used to know how to clean it and take it up, being here in California where I can't really use it. The thought of it is almost like scary to me, who used to be so hands-on with it, but interesting.
David, at one point, you used to have home inspections with the fire department. I mean, you can't do that now, can you, right?
Well, we still do vulnerability assessments. We can still do that.
Okay.
Where we go around, we go to your home. We give you tips on where the vulnerabilities might be within your home, with lighting, with your front door, with the glass, type of glass you have. With regards to fire life safety, do your smoke detectors work? Do you have a fire extinguisher? So we can do all that.
This fire extinguisher thing just came up in my family group chat. My mom was like, raise your hand if you have a fire extinguisher. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have my sisters and siblings with kids all have one installed. And I realized I don't have one. And my mom was like saying she was doing a safety inspection of her home just now. I think because we're about to go on lockdown again, she believes. So maybe I'll go buy one today. It's really important to have one.
Yeah, they're relatively cheap. $20. You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot. I think Target even sells one.
Brian, do you guys have one?
I have one because I've known David for years, so I practice this stuff, and that's one reason why I call a lot of the girls, because I've watched what he's done, what his company's done, and I love them. And then for us, what we're going to use, I'm going to use David's company for all the stuff because I've already seen what he can do, and I love the stuff. And then, like I said, with 13 co-hosts and they're all women, I don't take chances. I mean, Crystal, that's one of the reasons why I'm always checking in on you, because
which I appreciate.
interesting things. He talks about women, how they're supposed to post stuff. So David, go over that part again.
I'm sorry, say again?
Women posting on social media.
Yeah. So just to kind of recap, social media is obviously big now. Everybody wants to put their brand out there, but I always tell people not to post in real time because people can find out where you're at, especially the bad people who are following you have ill intentions. Probably post later on that day when you're gone from that location, or post the next day. Be careful what you're posting when you're at home. Have kind of a generic background because people can see what's in your home. They can see what's in your backyard. If you're completely walking around your house. We had a client that had a home gym that was completely given a tour of his home inadvertently. And he had some threats against him that people were using to know his home and his layout of his house based on his posting of his videos. So be real careful on, and again, I always tell people, be careful who you friend, who subscribes to you, because, if you have 1,000 followers, 1 million followers, you don't know any of those people. You probably know maybe 10%. And I'm sure everybody's been, has those haters that are online, and there are people that want to take it to a next level for whatever reason. And those people can be local or they can be out of state. And we've had clients where they're out of the country. So we're a very small world now because of the internet. And it's great to have friends across the ocean in other countries that follow us and that like us and that, kind of subscribe to us. But at the same time, there are some criminal elements out there that are always wishing to do harm to people.
I had a person recently say, like, I am going to see you one day, Coney, as he calls me, which is weird. I am going to see you one day. Don't worry. And I'm like,
block.
Exactly. Whoa.
See, and David's not laughing because he's seeing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try to communicate with people on a basic level, just to not be considered, rude. I'll just respond here and there. And I said, I'm sorry, that sounds very scary. If you keep up down this road, you're going to get blocked. I'm sorry. Don't be scared. There's no reason to be scared. And I'm just like, okay, because I've already blocked the same person once and he appeared under a new name that was similar. So I was like, okay, there's no point to that. But just as long as, he keeps his distance, and he's from another country. So.
Yeah. And if you have somebody online that's trying to engage in kind of rhetoric or very threatening tones, whether it be messaging or making comments, don't respond to them. Completely ignore them. Because when you respond to them, now you're engaged in a conversation with them, and that's what they want. So if they're saying negative things about you or to you or threatening you, completely ignore them like they don't exist. Eventually, most likely they'll go away. But once you get involved in the conversation, they're going to keep that conversation going as long as they can.
I've had that happen a couple times where, oh, I like this girl. How long have you been with her? And I'm like, oh, I know where this is going. And then I kind of just watched them for the distance to see if they popped up into their feed, because I'm paying attention to these things. And then, you see where it's going. David, give your social media links so people can reach out to you.
Yeah, well, I also have is a LinkedIn account, and we obviously have a website, omegaint.us, or just Google Omega International Group Inc. We're out of Beverly Hills.
And Tasha?
Well, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Vocally Tosh, or just Nathasha Rumbos, and there's a silent H after the T. If you do Google that, I'm the only Nathasha with an H in the world for now. So, so that's how you can find me. And I'm on all streaming music platforms, and you can definitely take a listen to my Latin music. Search me as Nathasha Rumbos, and we'll be there gozando,
And Crystal, you came on late, so tell us what you can. What's been happening with you? You're always busy, no matter where you are. But I always pray. I send a lot of prayers out to you because I root for you.
Busy is a weird word. I just had this conversation yesterday, and I know we're running out of time, but I would say I'm just hard to pin down in advance.
That's good.
Because the busy comes up last minute, I'm available. A lot of times Brian will say, are you available? And I'm like, at this moment, maybe, but 5 seconds later, I got an email and I have 3 auditions that are due. But I am recurring on a show called The Rookie right now, and I actually am pinned right now for another recurring on another show, which I can't say, but send out some more wishes for me. Is like something I taped last week, and my agent's like, "We got the pin," which is basically like a hold. So I'll let y'all know if that happens. But otherwise, we are back in the form of auditioning now. The process seems to be taking a little bit longer because they can't like pinpoint when you're going to be shooting or that kind of thing. But I'm doing 2 and 3 a day sometimes. So it's been really amazing. And I've stayed busy with classes all online, of course. But you can find me at Crystal Coney _, and that's Coney like Coney Island, CrystalConey _ on all platforms like that. So yeah.
And David, your social media link off of LinkedIn one more time, because we got to get you in the studio, because I have other hosts that need to meet you because they need to hear what you're talking about.
Yeah, just go to David Perez on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm not a big social media person, but I do have a LinkedIn account. Yeah. David Perez, Omega International Group, Inc. Again, you can get a hold of me by going to our website, going to info@omega.us.
And is your partner still with you too?
Yeah, Eddie, he's actually celebrated his birthday yesterday.
And how many years on the police force now? Is it 30? Over 30?
Yeah, I think he's got, I think, a year left. He's got about 32 years.
Tell him I said hi, because I know he's been like mega busy, I'm sure, because I've been kind of watching what's been happening and things like that. So it's, as you said, it's been a strange time for police officers around the world.
Yeah, and it's too bad. We got to give support to our local law enforcement because, they're not all, we know that 99.9% of all law enforcement is great. There's a few bad apples in every organization, and we can't let those bad apples, taint what the rest of the people are trying to do, especially our first responders.
David, I want to thank you for being on. Crystal, thank you for jumping on, because I know your busy schedule, really schedule. And Tosh.
Complicated schedule.
Yes, exactly. So for Movie Reviews and More, Women Worldwide TV Network, Women on TV.tv, IT247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because Crystal's got a great smile. The world needs it. And we will see you next week.